Welcome to the 902 Podcast, the official podcast of the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm Captain John Vick, and I want to thank you for listening. This podcast will give you an inside look at LSO with topics and guests to discuss public safety issues impacting Lancaster County. Be sure to subscribe for highlights on news, cases, and the people working for you at LSO. You can also follow us across social media at LSO Nebraska on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Welcome to the 902 Podcast. This is Captain John Vick with the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, and I am running a solo show today in studio to talk about recruiting and hiring. We are coming up on our final entry-level deputy hiring process of 2023, and applications for that process are going to go live coming up at midnight on Saturday, December 2nd. Applications for deputy are going to run all the way through the month of December. They'll open on December 2nd and close December 31st. And even though we call it an entry-level process, we do accept lateral applicants during that time. But this will be the last chance to get your application in for 2023. We do deputy hiring a little bit differently than some agencies based on our merit commission. We establish an eligibility list to hire from when we're selecting deputies each time that we test. Now, in past years, we had always tested once per year, if that. It really just depended on how many vacancies that we had available to fill at any given time. Since about 2021, we've actually started to do multiple testing processes per year. And the reason for that is simply our numbers of applicants have declined pretty significantly since about 2020. There's a lot of different reasons that go into that, and I'm not going to spend the entire show talking about all of the factors and circumstances that play into applicant numbers for law enforcement, not only here, but all the way across the country. But it is definitely something that we're seeing here. Now, that's not a problem until you have a number of vacancies that come up. And at the current time, we actually have 6 deputy vacancies that we're looking to hire. And so those come from a number of things. The biggest thing that's hit us in this last few weeks and months have been retirements. So deputies that are at the end of their tenure and have decided that they're going to move on to something else or retire completely. And we had a number of folks do that here over the last few months, and people that had significant years of service, 20, 30, almost 40 years of service with some of those deputies that left us. So we do need some help filling those holes, and we've got plenty of vacancies for people who are eligible to do that. So the way that this works, if you are interested, or maybe you know somebody that's interested in becoming a deputy sheriff at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, the first step that I would suggest, if you're familiar with our agency, that's great. If you're not familiar with our agency, though, a great way to start would be by doing a ride-along. Our entire testing process is designed to figure out whether or not someone is a good fit for us. But the best way to know if we are a good fit for you or for them is for that applicant to take a ride-along. And we offer those almost daily for people who are considering the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office as a career path. And if you'd like more information about that, head over to joinlso.com. And there's contact information on there for people on our recruiting team. And you can certainly call the phone number, 402-441-8896. Or you can send emails. There's a list of contacts that are on that website, joinlso.com. Or if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a spot where you can fill out a form to contact a recruiter. Those are all ways to get in touch with us and schedule a ride-along, because we really want to make sure that we are a good fit for you before we take all the steps to determine whether or not you're a good fit for us. Because it is a lengthy process, and we don't want to waste your time if it's just not something that you're necessarily interested in doing right now. But for people who are interested in doing it right now, law enforcement continues to be a fantastic career field for anyone who is looking for a career of service and a career of fulfillment, giving back to their community. We provide patrol coverage for Lancaster County 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And our deputies bid every 6 months by seniority for positions, for shifts, days off, And most, if not all, patrol deputies are assigned to 10-hour shifts, 4 days a week with 3 consecutive days off. Usually it's either Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so everybody can get a little piece of the weekend. We do have some other positions that are specialized throughout the office that carry an 8-hour shift 5 days a week. But that's typically what you're going to see when you're starting as a deputy with us. Starting salary right now for deputy sheriff is $64,351.04. That comes out to $30.94 per hour. You've got 8 steps in our deputy sheriff pay plan, working your way on up to step 8 at $91,128.96 or $43.81 an hour. So pretty competitive salary for someone who's looking for a career in law enforcement. And we do a very, very good job of trying to stay competitive with other agencies throughout the state of Nebraska. We also offer most patrol positions with take-home cruisers. That's kind of one of those big fringe benefits that people don't always think of. A lot of reasons that we do that: for maintenance of our fleet, for response times for deputies and specialized units, for callback for emergency situations. There's a number of things that go into why we do take-home cruisers. But it is also certainly a perk that comes with being a Lancaster County deputy sheriff. And we always encourage people to factor that into their decision when they're considering our office as a place to work. Aside from salary, we have special unit pay, overtime compensation, longevity pay, paid holidays, paid vacation. So somebody's going to start out at about 80 hours per year during their first 4 years of service. It goes up incrementally all the way until after 20 years of service, you're accruing 198 hours of vacation per year. And that's continuous, not to exceed 240 hours. So pretty decent paid vacation time for folks. You also accumulate 104 hours of sick leave per year, and not a limit on that bank sick leave. And right now, there's currently a 100% buyout program. So later in your career, you can actually buy out 100% of your unused sick leave at retirement and credit that towards an eligible retirement plan. We do provide paid health care, life insurance, dental insurance, also a retirement plan. There's a few different options for that, but it's a defined contribution plan where you can make your choice of investments. We do college tuition reimbursement here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, but recently the state of Nebraska has become the first state in the United States to offer tuition waivers, not only for a law enforcement officer, but also for their eligible dependents. So, you can finish your degree with a tuition waiver, but while you're a law enforcement officer in the state of Nebraska, you can also have that tuition waiver carry over to your kids, to your spouse. A very, very good benefit for law enforcement officers in the state of Nebraska, and certainly one that you can take advantage of right here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. We do also provide all uniforms, uniform cleaning, equipment, body armor. We provide everything except for the boots. If you can bring the boots, we will give you everything else. And we want to make sure that folks are set up, equipped to be safe when they're doing this job. And we go to great lengths to make sure that we can do that. So minimum qualifications are pretty standard. There's, vision standards that the state of Nebraska requires. We can't require perfect vision, but correctable to 20/30 with no evidence of irreversible disease that might affect a person's sight. Applicants can't have any felony convictions. You have to be able to read, write, and speak the English language fluently with no dysfunctional reading disorders. You're also required to have a high school diploma or GED, an honorable discharge from military service if that's something that you were a part of, and no felony convictions, also misdemeanor convictions or certain equivalents under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You have to be able to operate a motor vehicle, possess a valid driver's license, and be a U.S. citizen before graduation from the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center. We've had non-citizens become deputy sheriffs before, and we've been able to work with Homeland Security and make sure that citizenship was done prior to their appointment as a deputy sheriff. So there are some options for that out there. If you're a permanent legal resident or something like that and want to consider a career in law enforcement here at the sheriff's office, the biggest question that always comes up is, how old do I have to be? And the age is 21 years old before graduation from the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center. So as long as you can meet those requirements, we can find a home for you here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. So the way that you'll start that process is by making sure, again, that we are a good fit for you. The rest of the time, we're going to spend making sure that you are a good fit for us. And that starts with your application. So, to find an application to become a deputy sheriff, starting on Saturday, again at midnight, head over to joinlso.com. From there, there will be a link to the actual deputy application, but there's also a lot of information on our website about the hiring process itself. So, the application is the first part that gets you in the door, gets you on our list. And from there, you're going to be scheduled for written testing. We're going to be doing that upcoming this January. And there is a written test. It's called the TABE examination, where you have to score at least 70% in the reading and language sections. And that's something that's required by academies in the state of Nebraska to make sure that you're going to be academically successful in those environments. Once you pass the written exam, and I should also note with the written exam, we just recently began accepting tests. If you've taken the TABE previously, we can accept that from the agency that you may have already taken the TABE exam from. So you wouldn't have to sit and take the entire TABE exam as long as you have a qualifying score. Because once you pass the written test, then we'll move you on to the physical testing. And it's a physical performance evaluation. We use the Cooper standards here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. And that's the same standard that they use at the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center. And you can find information specifically to that with detailed descriptions of the physical testing, recommendations on training activities to prepare. But basically, it is a vertical jump, sit-ups, push-ups. It's a 300-meter sprint and a mile and a half run, and those are all broken down by various times and amounts that you need to complete each of those in. And then once you're done with the written and the physical, you are going to be advanced to an oral interview. And with your oral interview, you're going to be completing a personal history statement, which is a little bit like an expanded background packet. And it's going to ask you questions about, your life and about your background, places you've lived, residents, landlords, employers, all those sorts of things, so that we can get a good idea of who you are and make sure that we can validate that you are a good candidate with good moral character to become a Lancaster County Deputy Sheriff. It'll ask questions about financial information, maybe crimes that you've committed during your life, citations that you've gotten, tickets, things like that. Again, all with the aim of making sure that you've got the good moral character that it takes to become a law enforcement officer, not only in the state of Nebraska, but at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. So we'll go over that personal history statement with you at your oral interview. It's usually going to be a panel of deputy sheriffs. And that's going to, take an hour and a half where you'll come in. And a lot of people ask, well, what kind of questions come up in the oral interview at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office? Obviously, I can't give you inside information, but we usually don't do the hypothetical, what would you do if type of questions. We can train pretty much anybody to do anything when it comes to law enforcement. So we'll train you on all of the X's and O's on how to do the law enforcement stuff. What we can't train you on is having good moral character and the qualities that align with our values here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. So all of our questions during our interview process are really designed to try and flesh those out to see if you do have the moral character and the values that align with our organization here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office and make you a good servant of the taxpayers of Lancaster County. So the best way to prepare for that interview really is to hopefully just be yourself and put your best foot forward, and the process will take itself from there. So once those oral interviews are scored, they're paired up with your written test score, and they put you on our eligibility list with a rank. And then for each vacant position that we have, the sheriff is able to select and able to interview the top 3 candidates on that eligibility list. So with 6 vacancies right now, we can go pretty deep on that list. And there's never been a better time to get into law enforcement than right now, because you've got really good chances of making that list. So certainly encourage you to do that. If that goes successfully for a candidate, what's going to happen next is they'll get a conditional offer to be hired. And from there, they would be set up for a physical exam. And there's a physical that's required by a doctor that's at no cost to you. It's just to make sure that you've got the physical capacity to perform the job of a law enforcement officer. We also send you for a psychological examination to make sure that psychologically you're suitable for work in law enforcement. And then lastly, we do a polygraph examination just to verify that the information that you've provided to us during the hiring process was truthful. So once you complete all of those steps, then you're eligible for a final offer as a law enforcement officer. And depending on whether or not you're previously certified, if you are certified and possess an active law enforcement certification, either from Nebraska or out of state, you would be eligible to start pretty much right away. I mean, we would schedule you as soon as you were able to separate employment from your previous employer, get you into a mini academy, kind of an orientation in-house here at the office. And depending on whether or not you needed to go through a partial academy for reciprocity or none at all, we would get you into our field training program here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office and get you out patrolling on the streets of Lancaster County. If you are a new entry-level deputy and have never been certified as a law enforcement officer before, in that case, you would head to the academy. Currently, it's the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center in Grand Island, Nebraska, but we're also exploring opportunities to be able to partner with the Lincoln Police Department for an academy here locally in Lincoln. But the next academy that this testing process will be for is the 217th Basic Training Academy, and that's scheduled to start on April 28th of 2024, and it would run through August 9th of 2024 before you're back, and then start field training at that point. So once field training starts, you've got about a 3-week in-house mini academy here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. We go over basic things, geography, report writing, all the things that you need to hopefully set you up for success once you get out onto the road with a field training officer in a police car here at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. And then you're going to start a 16-week FTO program after that. You'll have several rotations with multiple field training officers. Part of that is training, part of it is evaluation. And each day you'll get real-time feedback on how you're doing, what you need to work on. And that's really where we not only teach you how to be a law enforcement officer, but build on that foundation that you received in your academy training and teach you how to be a law enforcement officer at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. So in summary, deputy applications are going live this coming Saturday, December 2nd at midnight. Go to joinlso.com if you're interested in a deputy sheriff career opportunity here. If you have questions, we would love to hear from you. There's ways to get in touch with a recruiter at joinlso.com. Set up a ride along. Plenty of time during that application period to do that. We'd love to have you in, show you what we're all about, and see if we are a good fit for you before you go through the lengthy process of seeing if you're a good fit for us. So applications, again, going live Saturday, joinlso.com. We have 6 vacancies at the current moment. So really never been a better time to become a deputy sheriff at the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. So that is all the time that we have for this episode of the 902 podcast. If you'd like to reach out to us on social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, most places at LSO Nebraska. Also, be sure to visit joinlso.com if you're interested in those deputy career opportunities, but also our civilian career opportunities. We have multiple civilian career tracks for our professional staff. And lastly, if you have just a general question or want to get in touch with us about an episode, email us at lso@lancaster.ne.gov. Thanks for listening.